Hey friends, welcome back to She's At It Again. My name is Tanya. Today I'm making something, I'm not even going to taste it. These are not for me. These are for somebody else. I'll tell you about that in a minute. We're going to make some thin coconut cookies, and we're using regular sugar. So let's go over to the counter and I'll show you how. All right, we're over here at the counter. I got back over here and I looked down and my cord that goes from my microphone to the edge of my camera was laying on the counter, so microphone wasn't on. Hopefully you were able to hear what I was saying. We're going to make some thin coconut cookies, and these are not for me. These are for somebody else. I'll tell you about that in just a bit. We're going to start out with 3/4 of a cup of butter, and I've had this in the bowl with a lid on it overnight, so it has softened a lot. We are going to also add a 1/2 cup of sugar to this. And this is called Zulka. It's a unbleached sugar. I'm going to set that over there for just a second. I'm going to mix up my flour and stuff first. Sorry to be so confusing, but I'm trying to read a recipe and figure out where I've placed it over here. So in this container, in this measuring cup, I have 1 1/4 cups of just organic all-purpose flour. I have 1/3 of a teaspoon of Himalayan pink salt. And I'm just putting it through that strainer because sometimes it gets in little clumps, and I don't want the clumps. I'm going to have a teaspoon of baking soda in this. And you know how that can be clumpy too. Just want to make sure there's no lumps in there. Just give that a stir. And set it aside. Now we'll get to this part. All right, our sugar and our butter. And I'm going to use my mixer and I'm going to cream this until it's light and fluffy. Again, this is unsalted butter and Zulka Morena or just unbleached sugar. All right, turning my mixer off there. When I say light and fluffy, I mean like the color of the butter changes. It goes from being yellow to being almost white because it has a lot of air incorporated in it. Plus it's kind of dissolving those sugar crystals somewhat. Not completely, of course. It's going to be a little grainy, but it's dissolving those somewhat. So that is pretty smooth. We're going to take a very large egg. If you don't have really large eggs, use about 1 1/2. The recipe actually calls for 1 1/2, but I'm not doing 1 1/2. That's considered a really large egg right there. This is from my friend's chickens. That's a big egg. That's one of those eggs you look at it and go, man, bless her heart. Woo, that's a big one. All right, we're going to add this to it, and we're going to mix it on low for not very long. Like that last part, I'm just trying to get as much of the mixture off the beaters as I can. The recipe actually says mix it for 40 seconds. I'm not sure why it says 40 seconds, but 40 seconds was about what I did, and it's mixed in there well. It's not over mixed, but it is mixed well. Okay, when I say clean your beaters, I mean like that clean. All right, to this mixture, once we get it back down in the bowl well, we're going to add vanilla, just 1 teaspoon of vanilla. Get my medicine dropper here. I can measure out a teaspoon pretty good with that. And then we have a cup of coconut. We're going to put it in here. This is really finely shredded, unsweetened coconut. And in case you have a natural grocer's, this is what the front of the package looks like. We're just going to stir this in, not mix it with the mixer. So these cookies are going to the teachers of one of our local elementary schools. Actually, it's a middle school. Our church family has adopted that school, and periodically we go in, we help with projects, we go in and do laundry in their clothes closet, we donate food to a food closet, we help teachers just do whatever needs to be done. Now there's a sign-up list. We don't just all show up at one time. That would be a little overwhelming, but we do all kinds of things like this. So this is one of those days where we go around with a snack cart. Somebody goes around with a snack cart and they deliver snacks and drinks to the teachers at this particular school. So like I said, I'm not going to be eating these. I'm not a teacher at the school, but somebody's going to enjoy these because these are really good. I used to eat these a lot, and my mother was a huge fan of coconut, and I have mailed these to her before, and they're quite delicious. All right, we're going to incorporate our flour mixture that we have here, our flour, salt, and soda. And then we're going to chill this. And don't skimp on the chilling. Chill it for at least an hour. So I'm going to eat lunch in the meantime while this is in the refrigerator. I'm going to put this lid back on the bowl, put it in the refrigerator, and let it chill. Then we'll come back and scoop these out, bake them off, and then I'll show you a final product. And I wish I could taste it and you could see the look on my face, but it's not going to happen. But it is going to make my house smell really, really good. Now this mixture looks a little dry at first, but once you start stirring it up well, it has the texture of Play-Doh. And that's exactly what you want. Make sure you get all that dry flour off the bottom of it that's gone down there. And as soon as you can see that you've picked up all the dry ingredients, then it's ready to put the lid on it and chill it. And you know me, I'm going to get every last speck off that spatula. After all, that's a cookie. All right, put the lid on. And it goes to the fridge, and we'll be back when this has chilled. See the girls over there? They're fixing to get a snack for lunch, so they'll be excited in just a minute. But right now, they're taking a good long rest on their softy pink blanket. So we'll be back in just a bit. All right, it's been over an hour. I've eaten lunch, we brushed our teeth, we sat outside in the sunshine, and we're back with our dough. And this is quite firm. Bless you, Zoe. Okay. All right, I put some extra coconut in this bowl. This is the same coconut from this big jar, unsweetened, pretty finely ground. We have parchment on our baking pans here. This is what I usually make crackers on, so I just leave the parchment on it if I can use it again. All right, so here's the time-consuming part. This is a pretty small scoop. This is probably smaller than most cookie scoops, I'd say. So you can see in relation to my hand right next to it, that's about how tiny it is. So I'd say it's probably 3/4 of an inch across. So it says roll these in balls and then put them in the coconut. So I'm just doing it in a scoop, doing it like this. And they look like those little snowball cupcakes. Remember the pink ones? I think it was Hostess that had those. I can remember my granddad eating those. I was like, you can have those. You don't need to share those with me. I'm not going to ask you for a bite because it had coconut on it and yuck. I was not a fan of coconut. I like coconut now. I'm not necessarily crazy about the texture still, but I can get past it because the taste is so good. But look how this shoots out of there. Doink. Okay, so we're going to get coconut on the outside of these, and there's a reason for that other than just aesthetics. Because we're going to take something clear with a flat bottom. Now this little Pyrex, kind of like a ramekin, it's got a pretty flat bottom. You don't want something like a jar that the bottom of it is concave. I'm going to press it down, and you can see about how big it is. I'm hoping it doesn't stick. Oh, it might be sticking. Yikes. Oh, that's the one I put down there first. Shoot. Okay, let's redo that one. Take two. Let's see if I can roll that back up. It'll have lots of coconut in it. Okay, I may have to put a piece of parchment over them. Keep them from sticking. That's okay, but not ideal. Let's see if I have a tiny piece of parchment in here. I think I have a square. Yes, I do. I'm going to press them pretty flat because, I mean, these are called thin coconut cookies, not thick. So the thinner you press them, the more crisp wafer-like they are. I noticed I made a note on those that said something about being a pain, getting them to smash flat. So maybe this is one of those things I should have taken note of and gone, hey, I'll do it a different way. But for now, this is how we're going to do it. All right, I'm just going to keep doing this, and I won't keep the camera running because that's probably a little much for those of you that say, can you not work any faster? Do I have to watch this whole thing? Or that was 15 minutes wasted. Okay, I'll turn the camera off for you. Okay, I'm turning the camera on because I think I found something that might work a little bit better. I grabbed a piece of cellophane, and it seems to stick a little bit less than the parchment, which is kind of surprising because parchment usually doesn't let anything stick to it. So lay the cellophane down, push it with the bowl, remove the bowl, and then just peel it off like that. So, okay, that works better. Now we have a good resolve to this. So apparently this pan will only hold about 15 of these, but I am getting them really flat, so I'm excited about that. I have to do a couple of pans at a time. We have our oven preheating to 325. Mine's convection, so it goes down to 300, but set yours for 325 if you have just a regular conventional oven. Mine just automatically goes down 25 degrees when I set it to whatever temperature I need. Keep forgetting which side of the part of the cellophane I'm using. Ah, just in time. Okay, I'm going to press these down a little bit more because they're not quite as flat as the ones I just did. Yeah, this definitely works better than the parchment. Okay, we're going to pop these in the oven. I'm not going to show you every pan that I do. We'll just bake one. We're going to bake these for 12 to 14 minutes. We'll check them at 12 minutes and see if they need more time, because I can always add more time to it. I can't take time off. Okay, set it for 12 minutes and we'll be back. I'll keep adding more to these other pans. My timer on the oven just went off and I'm about to be on my third next baking sheet of those. So these make quite a few. Let me take these out so I can show them to you. This is what they look like when they're done. And they are too fragile to pull up right now, but I'll pull some off after a while and then I'll show you that. Plus I got to get probably 4 more trays of these in. So we're looking at it making about 60 cookies, but I'll let you know a count at the end. Okay, these cookies have cooled off, and this is what they look like. They are so thin, and they smell absolutely delightful. And notice, there's not a bite taken out of any of them, so I'm not going to taste these. Okay, these are so just crispy, and they come off the parchment really easily. See? Just like that. Almost like a wafer. Too fun. And these aren't too sweet, too. If you're wondering, no, they're not that sweet. Okay, there's your cookie. Recipe for the week. If you want to use coconut sugar, that would be perfectly fine. The only reason I'm not doing that here is because it's for somebody else. They're used to eating sugar. They don't care necessarily. They have no idea it's organic ingredients all the way through, but I just hope they're going to enjoy them. We just want to show love to people who are doing such a good job at such a hard task. Teaching people's children is not all they do. They are referees for parents, children, everybody else at the school. Plus, they have a whole lot of roles. So all those teachers out there, thanks. You're being noticed. We see what you're doing. We may not be in the classroom, but we see what you're doing, and I'm glad you're doing it. Thanks for joining us. The recipe for this is in the description, as always. We look forward to sharing something again with you real soon. So hope you enjoy these. Bye.